Hello, how you doing? So, I thought I'd talk about a famous person who represented a fast food company years ago who lost 245 pounds over 11 months. And, well, I don't want to mention by name because he's turned out he was a horrible person, but his weight loss journey was quite remarkable. So, this person had been consuming, he weighed 425 pounds and he'd been consuming up to 10,000 calories a day, which is like 5 times the recommended amount, which is 2,000. But then he decided, he basically did intermittent fasting without even realizing he was doing it. First thing is he had nothing for breakfast, maybe a black coffee. And then he had two meals. He had a lunch, which was a 6-inch turkey sub with vegetables, no mayo, no cheese. I think he put mustard on it and maybe some um, vinegar. I don't know. Anyway, he did. There was no oils, no extra oils like mayo. And then and he actually had baked chips and a diet soda of some sort. And then for dinner, he had a foot long veggie sub again with vegetables and no mayo, no cheese. So basically, and so one of the keys is that he was only eating twice a day, and he was only eating between say noon and 6, which is a form of intermittent fasting. And the number of calories I've seen it. Some people said he was having 2,000 calories a day. Some people said between 1,000 and 2,000. The point is that he had drastically reduced the amount of calories that he was taking on per day. Let's call it even. Let's say he was doing 1,500 instead of the 10,000. Now he did walk, but this is the point I wanted to make is that he was only walking a mile and a half a day, which is about 30 minutes. So, that's not a lot of activity. It was more than he had been doing, I guess. But the question becomes like, how does a guy, I think he lost maybe like 94 pounds in the first 3 months, and then over 11 months, you know, 245 in total. So, what was the engine of that weight loss? Well, it was intermittent fasting. Like I say, even though it wasn't necessarily called that back then, because certainly you're not going to burn off a tremendous amount of calories walking a mile and a half, walking 30 minutes. So the the incremental weight loss that he was able to do was just simply, um, he did reduce the number of calories, obviously, but he also reduced the number of times he was eating a day. Let's say he'd been having 3 meals and snacking. I mean, he might have been eating 6, 7 times a day, which is, you don't want your pancreas working that hard. And by only having 2 meals a day without snacks, he only had to rely on his pancreas to release insulin twice a day. So, again, if you want to lose weight, if you or if in my case, I'm also trying to put type 2 diabetes in remission. I think it's great to do physical activity for sure. I'm going to be 63 in a month, and my main physical activity is walking. I'm kind of going a little crazy. It's summertime, and I'm a substitute teacher, so I'm not working. So I'm actually walking between like 2 and 3 hours a day. I'm doing like 6 to 9 miles a day, which is not necessary to lose weight. I obviously it'll help, um, but the main thing engine, if you want to call it, of weight loss for humans is intermittent fasting. Combining it with activity, of course, is great. But in the case of this famous guy, who shall remain unnamed again because he's a horrible person, but he wasn't moving all that much. 30 minutes a day. So it's not talked about much. I mean, it's talked about that he, ate a lot less calories. But what's not talked about is that he drastically reduced the number of times he ate a day, from whatever it was, 6 or 7 times with snacks and breakfast, down to two. So essentially, that story is a story of uh, intermittent fasting, even though it wasn't ever referred to when he lost all that weight. And again, it's, you know, I've heard people talk, doctors even talk about, you know, realistically you can lose 2 pounds of fat a week, which is about 9 pounds a month. And he did this diet for 11 months, so that would only be 99 pounds. But he lost 245. So he was, you know, losing, you know, 20 pounds of fat a month just by drastically reducing the number of calories and by intermittent fasting. So again, don't don't mention his name. He's a horrible person, but you know, the example of intermittent fasting is one that can be followed and can help you very incrementally meet your weight loss goals. And if you, like me, if you do have type 2 diabetes, it can help you to put it into remission without having to take medication. Okay. All right. Well, it's sorry it's been so long. I'm still at it. I've been spending a couple weeks doing the eating window, where I just eat 2 meals a day between 12 noon and 6 p.m. No snacking. You know, and again, eating healthy food. Doing a lot of walking. I love it. I love the tunes. Getting into the tunes, and I live in Vancouver, Canada, and the summers here are gorgeous. So only about 25 degrees. Well, 25 degrees, which is about um, you know, 75 Fahrenheit, I think, for any Americans out there. Um, and sunny, so it's just I put on a little sunscreen on the old dome here, and get out there, and it's just I live downtown, and it's just a lovely city to walk in. All right, take care. Start intermittent fasting. If you want to see videos about it, Dr. Jason Fung, Fung, um, on YouTube or the internet. And I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day. Bye bye.